Welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
And today, guess what we're doing? It's Friday.
Chits and giggles.
Ah, you're close. Darn it. No, we're doing one of our top 8 debates. And as always, we have 8 games that we picked from a category, and we're going to argue about which one is the best. So, this was a different departure than what we normally do, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it was. All because we had to break down Bruno Cathala games.
Yeah, exactly. So, we found out, I think it was because of the fact that we found out that this artist is a designer, technically as well. He's created one game, and
with Bruno
Cathala, and he didn't do the art for that game, which was ironic enough.
He was too busy creating the game.
Yeah, exactly. I guess so. But he is an artist. His name is Vincent Dutrait, and you'll probably recognize some of these titles, and you'll recognize his art definitely by them. It is, pretty gorgeous art. The thing is, we're gonna have a hard time judging the art category of this.
So I'm already seeing like the art category as a wash when it comes to the art part, but that's why we break it down into the other parts. So, just as a caveat to our listeners at home and the streamers here at Twitch and on YouTube as well, we're arguing the game. Is the game fun that he did the artwork? We're not arguing the artwork part of it because all of his art is just gorgeous.
Right.
So this is strictly down to what is the best game that Vincent Dutrait had art on.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like some artists, he's probably done done art for games that aren't that great. Yeah. I'm assuming. I don't actually know that, but it's a fair assumption. So we're going to be breaking these down here in a little bit. This was one of those lists that we didn't have any comments on there, so no honorable mentions other than our own, wasn't it?
For the audience, yeah. And I lost my little cheat sheet, so I can't remember how the breakdown works.
Uh-oh. Well, don't worry. I have it right here. I can go over it if you want. But
that's fine. I remember it. I'm just facetious.
You're being feces-ish? All right. So, I had 3 honorable mentions, 2 of which I really do think he has gorgeous art, and it really highlights his artwork. And one of them I haven't played.
Really? See, I thought about putting some that I haven't played for his artwork, but I just didn't do it because I kind of want to keep it to what I played. But I already broke that rule with EBG, so I can't really say.
Right. No, there's one that specifically, and I remember seeing the art and hearing it's like, oh, well, the art was done by Vincent Dutrait. It's like, got it. And that was the most picturesque game at the time that I recognized where it's like, okay, that put Vincent Dutrait on the map for me as far as an artist. And then I found out that he did all these others that I already had in my collection.
Okay, cool.
So that's why I have it as an honorable mention. So other than that, before we get in,
I have a third honorable mention too. So
all right. Do you mind if we normally don't do our what you played on Fridays anymore?
Yeah. But
I want to give a quick shout out and blatantly or not a shout out, but I want to show something here. Talking about art.
Oh God.
No. So I don't make art for my games, but I do want to point out this one. This, I did get an artist to create the game for me. I created the game. It's called Hot Reels. I absolutely love the style on this. Like, it's supposed to be a slot machine. Over here on the side, you have, the little arm.
Yep.
Title on the other side. Back has, like, air vents and stuff as it has the information. Just overall, just really slick game. This is made by an artist named Andrew Romero. He lives in Taos at the moment. He used to live here in town. And, I just wanted to give this a quick shout-out because we're talking about art right now. So,
no issue with me.
Where if you compare that to a game that I'd made the art for, take a look at that.
So, if you've noticed our profile pictures, which he hasn't changed on the Twitch channel yet, but on our YouTube and our podcast and our new official Twitter account, Danny made the artwork for that. I don't understand why he makes such bad artwork for that, but made a decent artwork for our...
Oh, whatever. It's not that bad. So, like, what I like to do is I will take public domain images and stuff because I have some art that would work, but I'm not an illustrator by any sense of the word. I could probably, if I trained a little bit more, I could probably be an okay graphic designer, but that's not the same as an illustrator. So like this, the idea behind it is this box is supposed to be completely stark and barren, and then there's the little island hiding over there. I'm going to have the information on the back of the screen. Whereas like this one was weird. Apparently it prints white as transparent, and it had like a fade to like a nice like tan white, like a cream going into a white. And that was apparently the cutoff right there. So,
Interesting.
It was a little weird, you know. But,
so for everybody that's wondering, all these are his games. That's what he's showing to people. For our audio listeners, all those are his games.
Yes. So for our audio listeners, I'll show you one that's obnoxiously yellow. Take a look at that. And I know I said
what are you calling yellow?
Yeah, you heard me. And so like this, I tried to take the idea of this game doesn't have a theme really, but the components I knew I just needed.
McKinley Games themeless? I'm shocked.
Yeah, who knew? I decided to have an obnoxiously yellow game, so I have a yellow die, yellow tokens, and then a yellow mint tin.
Hey, why are you dissing yellow? Yellow is the best player color.
I mean, it really is one of the best. I mean, you can see clearly I do like yellow. In fact, I like a lot of yellow in stuff. It's just it's not, you don't normally see yellow boxes.
I get you.
I'm looking around the edge of some of the games. Lost Cities is a yellow box. Frag is a yellow box. They might be orange. I'm colorblind. Parfume is. Trekking.
There's like I don't know, maybe two behind you.
Yeah. That's it.
Escape has some yellow on it.
Escape has some yellow, but look at this. This is mainly blue and dark and grays, and same over here. There's very little yellow, and so I wanted one that was like a highlighter.
So I haven't been playing any games lately. I've been playing some video games, hanging out, but I did pick up a new game, the new hot craziness right now. I went yesterday to go pick it up at Target, and that's Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion.
Yep.
And I can't wait to dig into that one. I've looked at the minis. Oh my god, they're awesome.
You looked at all of them?
Not all of them.
Have you opened up all the sealed boxes
just
yet?
Hatchet. Huh?
You've opened up all the sealed boxes, right?
No, I have not.
They're not supposed to be sealed. That was an accident. Error in printing.
Yeah, no, they're supposed to be sealed. I am the one who has played Gloomhaven on several occasions. I know how this thing works.
I played it once. You were there. You remember. You were teaching it to me.
So I was looking through it and learning this, and I have to give a shout out to this for just the simple fact that what it's done to teach the game of Gloomhaven itself has just made it so the first 5 scenarios basically teaches you Gloomhaven overall. So like the first scenario, it's just learning how to play your characters. Mm-hmm. The creatures that you're fighting are sort of there, but their initiative is always 50, so you're going to try to want to beat them, and it gives you it holds your hand for that first scenario. And then in the second scenario, they introduce a couple more rules. Third scenario, a little bit more, and fourth and fifth, and so on, until by the 5th game, you're familiarized with the way Gloomhaven plays.
Yeah. And
I think that is an amazing strategy, and to the point from now on, whenever someone's like, hey, I want to learn Gloomhaven, I'm bringing this, and I'm going to show them this. If you're like, here's the first scenario, just learn how to play your character first, because that's a big part of having to learn to play both sides of the cards. You're playing 2 cards at a time, how you do the whole refreshing and stuff like that. That takes people a little while to grasp how that works, and the way they did it in this one is just phenomenal.
Yeah, you can tell they really took the extra time to do it. It's very reminiscent of Legends of Andor. Legends of Andor, the first game has that, like, it's almost like a video game.
How you have to move across this grid and stuff like that, how that is supposed to work, because you can never backtrack. You always have to, so as far as you go, you can only go further down that track, and it's like almost like a spiral.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's a really smart system, honestly. And you're bringing it tomorrow, right? We're going to play it tomorrow, hopefully? Yeah?
I'll try to, yeah.
Cool. You're a good man. I don't care what they say about you.
It'd only be you because of what we do to you in private chats about your board games.
True. Yeah, I mean, if you guys heard, if anybody's watching this and you heard it, the amount of stress that I get from these guys, all because they play test my games, like... It's like the payment that I receive from them is the satisfaction of them just completely hating on everything. And it's not it's not the criticism of the game. They give legitimate feedback and good feedback, like positive feedback in a way. It's just everything leading up to that point. The table talk is real. Which reminds me,
Just 1 second. We're having a little technical difficulties on my side. My stream's kind of buffering real quick. But, all right, say something real quick.
something real quick.
All right, cool. Okay.
All right, cool. So, let's talk about honorable mentions. Vincent Dutrait artwork. I do have 3, and you said that you brought up a third.
A third, if we were doing the games we haven't played before, so.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and start it. Alexandria
ahead.
is my number 3 honorable mention, and that's one where it's talking about the Library of Alexandria. The whole library is burning down, and the cover of it alone, absolutely stunning. That's what got me, like, just looking at it. I still want to get the game and at least want to try it, but I haven't played it yet, haven't gotten it to the table, and yeah, it looks absolutely incredible. I don't know how better to describe that other than that's what put Vincent Dutrait on the map for me.
No, I don't disagree. I had to see the artwork on that one. The one I haven't played, and the one that put him on the map for me, and I do want to play it, even though it's probably one of the most difficult games ever played, and that is Robinson Crusoe.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one I just thought up. It's the one I've been wanting to get to the table to play.
Yeah.
I know it's a difficult game, but I've heard really good things about it, and I want to try it.
Now, I don't think he made the art for the first edition, but the second edition...
Yes, first.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I believe it's first, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love the cover on this. I think it's the second edition. I think that's Vincent Dutrait with the 2 like cliffs, and you just see the ocean in the back. Oh, that's stunning.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to put it on here because I haven't played it, but it's really the game that really is like, wow, who did the art on that? It pops just from the box alone.
Yeah, it really does. My number 2 is Naga Raja. It's a 2-player game by Bruno Cathala. I really like it because every single card is a different action, and it either has certain dice or like which dice you roll or which action you take, and each card is individually illustrated. And on top of that, what they did is they had him design the cover. It's like the entrance to like this awful tomb, and they converted that into the insert of the box. It's actually like embossed like the cover of it. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they made his art 3D, which was really incredible. So I like that one a lot.
So my number 2 is actually an expansion to a game, but it is not really a standalone expansion, but it's a plug-in expansion called for Time Stories.
Okay.
He was credited for the Prophecy of Dragons, which I love the art in the Prophecy of Dragons. I think that's one of the more beautiful out of the 2 games, or the 3 that I played so far. So yeah.
Yeah, that one's a really good pick. And my number 1 honorable mention, I'll let you take a chance to guess it because I'm willing to bet you know it.
Treasure Island?
Treasure Island, yeah. Because you use the board as a vital component. I mean, like, sure, boards are important in most games, but the idea, you're actually drawing on the board and drawing over his art, and you have to see all these little nuances and little features to know exactly where his treasure is. That's awesome. And the fact that they made it sepia tone on one and full color on the other, that's really fantastic. And the art on everything else is really good too. So I like Treasure Island a lot, and I think that that's a perfect example of his art making the game that much better.
No, I don't disagree with you. It is a beautiful game. I haven't played this one, but the art is just spectacular. You could probably guess what my number 1 honorable mention is.
I probably could.
Go ahead, take a shot.
No, I don't remember. Oh, jeez. Is it one that I've played?
Oh, yeah. One of our mutual friends owned this and kickstarted it.
Is it Atlantis Rising?
And Atlantis Rising 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. When he brought that into the shop, I was like, what is that? That looks pretty. And then we played it.
Yeah.
It is such a good game. And the reason why since we have both played this would have made the top 8. It just wasn't in the top 8. I think it was like 10 or something like that on the list.
It was close.
But oh my God, that thing is such a beautiful, beautiful game. Just the cover alone. Again, it goes with the Treasure Island. Those two have like probably one of the most striking covers out there. You don't really use the board in this one, but the cover itself is just gorgeous.
Well, the board, what makes it neat is that as the pieces are sinking, it looks like, that it looks like they're spilling underwater. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Probably one of my favorite games I've played. I don't know if I played it this year or last year, but it was sometime within the end of 2019, the early part of 2020.
Yeah.
I dug that game so much.
Yeah, it was fun. I did enjoy it. I want to try it again. And
Same.
Yeah, so that's our honorable mentions. If you have any more that you would like to bring us up, comment down below if you're watching this later, or if you're watching this on Twitch, comment right below us right now. With that being said, let's get into the debate.
Sounds good. For everybody at home, the top 8 are number 1 Jaipur versus
our number 8 seed, Dead Man's Draw.
Our number 2 seed, Rise of Augustus, facing
our number 2 seed.
Sorry, number 7 seed, Rise of Augustus, facing our 2 seed,
Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, I had it written around here.
That's fine.
Our number 3 seed, Lost Cities, versus
our number 6 seed, Discoveries, Journals of Lewis and Clark.
Our 4 seed, Pathfinder, the adventure card game,
versus our number 5 seed, Broom Service.
And so, caveat before we get started on the quarterfinals. Yes, I know Lewis and Clark and Discoveries of Lewis and Clark. A lot of people kind of tie those together. We've played both those games, and they feel so different from each other, other than the fact that they have Lewis and Clark, and it's a little bit of a race here and there.
Yeah, exactly. They're technically the same theme, and they are the same designer and same publisher, but they're very different games.
Very different, yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable saying Discoveries is the dice game of Lewis and Clark. It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that they share a theme, they have no real correlation to me.
Right. Which, what's interesting is both Lewis and Clark and Discoveries of Lewis and Clark by the same designer, but those are his only 2 games.
That's intriguing. And again, this goes down to my thing about unique themes in history. I actually really enjoy both of those games. I know which one I prefer over the 2, but I really enjoy both those games.
Yeah, exactly. I do too. I think it's really neat how that works. So let's break down how we decide which game is better when we get into the nitty gritty.
Oh, great! I don't have my list on me, so I can't think of it off the top of my head.
That's fine. I'll go over it, and we'll just talk about very quickly about the specifics, so that way we can get into the debate. Ease of play is our first one, and that talks about simplicity or familiarity with the mechanics, whether it's likely to cause AP prone or analysis paralysis. And the likelihood of getting to the table initially, whether that's theme or
what's going to cause
ease.
it get to the table?
Yeah.
Is it theme? Is it because the familiarity of the mechanisms is like, oh, this is a worker placement game? Yeah, okay.
Yep. Then we have art and production, which
again, this is where we're going to be like, art is going to be really hard for us to, because all of these are very beautiful games. I think where it's going to break down to is the other 2 parts of this category.
Yeah, exactly. Pieces and components or design. We might discuss the art and compare it a little bit, like which one accurately uses Vincent Dutrait's art. Where if one, he just made a cover for it, and it's slightly different.
Yeah.
Meaningful choices. And that's impacting other players. How well you can impact your long-term strategy, and non-arbitrary choices. So if I could just play a card at random and hope for the best, well, then that's kind of a knock on the game.
Yeah, exactly. It impacting other players, especially for... Honestly, I don't think we have Pathfinder is the only co-op we have on this game. Oh, wow. But when it comes down to a co-op, when it's impacting other players, it goes with the table talk and stuff like that too. Like you're discussing and stuff like that. Yeah,
and then how important is every player's turn, or can one player just play everybody's turn? That's kind of a knock to it, and as far as
no tabletop quarterbacking here.
Yeah, exactly. Then we have replay value. What are the minimum number of plays to get the full experience? The player range and scale. And additional content as of now. So let's go into this real quick. Let's clarify this, because you and I had a big discussion about this and a big argument about it. So what we agreed on is...
and by the way, he polled other people and lost.
I mean, no, that was... I wasn't doing that to prove a point. I was trying to see if my thoughts were valid.
You were asking a legitimate question, and that person agreed with what I was saying, and Danny's like, you know what, let's play games.
That's true, that did happen. So what we decided is, as far as additional content, is we're going to give a point to every expansion that they have. And we're talking bigger expansion. Anything from, like, a box about yay size,
Well, even like with Eldritch Horror, the small box expansions count too, because they add stuff to the game.
Right. And then we have like smaller modules and stuff like promo cards or promo packs, something like that. Little modules that they might... So like Carcassonne, the Inns and Cathedrals expansion is a big expansion, whereas if we're talking like the Phantom expansion with the transparent meeples, that's a small thing. But then... So our big argument boiled down to stuff like campaign games and legacy games, is that if they are intended to have more content. So what we've decided to count it as is we'll count each expansion that's been formally announced by the publisher or the designer as a point as well.
Yeah.
And if it's intended to have more, like let's say Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle-earth, or Space Base has like a story mode campaign thing.
Or the Stefan Feld My City collection that apparently is coming out from Queen Games.
Right. If it's intended to have a storyline idea, then we can safely assume that there will be at least one more expansion.
One more, yeah.
So we'll count one more.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't matter how long they've been out.
When we're going about the fact that future expansions, even though we only know for sure one more is coming out, when the publisher or the owner of the publishing company or the designer have said there's plans in the works, then we'll count all the expansions. Best argument for this is Wingspan. Both Jamie Stegmaier and Elizabeth Hargrave says they plan to make an expansion for every continent.
Yep.
And right now they only have Europe out. North America is the base game, and they've announced Oceania, which will be around November-ish.
Yeah.
So
you get some tropical birds going in there. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that makes sense. They've already announced the intent for it. The additional content, it's going to be there.
Even though it's still hypothetical, that's the plan for them. You never know, because card is subject to change, as they always say. Yeah. But that's the intent. They've mentioned that's the intent that they want to do. I know for a fact Stonemaier has also announced a Tapestry expansion supposed to come out later this year. Okay. So that would count as well.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think like the biggest thing with that argument that stemmed from it is actual expansions. It's like, well, this game is probably going to have expansions versus like Space Base. The Saga expansion is considered, it's number 1 in the series of expansions for Space Base. So that means that AEG does intend to have one more. Whether that happens or not, nothing's confirmed yet, but that is the intent. So
exactly.
And then the last category is immersion.
And so the way we do game immersion is I can't think of the
theme matching mechanisms.
Theme matching the mechanism where does it make sense? So like I keep using Stonemaier because I can see him over my shoulder here through the camera. Is viticulture. You're sending workers to plant the fields and stuff like that. So the memechanism very much so works with the way the theme feels.
Whereas like Wingspan less so, because you are going out to the field watching birds, but how your birds actually affect each other, that's up to debate a little bit more.
But the birds' powers are thematic to said birds as well. So there's a little bit. It just depends on where you want to find that theme at.
Right. And then the player interaction is the next category. How well are we actually talking about the games? Like, hey, look, like in Pandemic, it's a super thematic game because you're like, oh man, like all of the red disease is just completely destroying everything. Yeah. Everything's burning. We're all gonna die. Let's go over there and deal with it.
Best case scenario for me on that one is Western Legends. When we played Western Legends, I was running away with it because I was Billy the Kid. I was sitting on that track, and once you guys realized I was getting a point every round, you're like, no, we have to stop this. And that's when you and Dom started working together to make sure I don't keep running away and trigger the end game. Because we were only playing the short game because we wanted to play a lot more.
Right. And then when I got
I end
on
up
there,
ending in last place. That's how thematic interacting with the other players are in that game. I ended up in last place even though I was running away with it in the beginning of the game.
yeah, exactly. And then once I got you arrested, it was like the last round of the game. I look over, I'm like, I'm in a bank. Give me your money. And we had like the best laugh about that because it's really, really. I mean, like,
and that adds to the immersion.
That adds to the immersion, absolutely. And then memorable moments is the last part of that,
and that's where we go into more of the immersion. The memorable moments. Okay, I got him arrested. The sheriff's taking care of it. Give me all your money in this bank right now.
Yeah, Sheriff, you make sure you bring him to that extra far away jail. He deserves it. Give me your money. Hand it over. Yeah, I have this giant comically sized canvas bag with a dollar sign on it. I want you to put it in there while I change into my black and white striped shirt. It's so ridiculous. Yeah,
it was so fun.
We enjoyed the mess out of that game, but that's an example of it. With that being said...
and as always, fan vote is the tiebreaker. We place the post on Board Game Revolution on Facebook every roughly Wednesday for vote and interaction. So if you ever want to take part of the poll, that's where you can find it.
Yeah. All right, cool.
With that being said, quick break.
Yep, we're going to do a quick break to stop the filming, then we're going to come right back to it to film our top 8 debate for Vincent Dutrait art.